It started with trust, a small favor. She said she'd help me with bills, groceries, errands, so I gave her my card. Now I sit in a near-empty apartment checking statements I can't believe are real. She didn't steal from me all at once. She just kept taking. My back was killing me again. Same sharp pain that shot down my left leg every time I bent over to pick up milk from the bottom shelf at Tesco Lotus. At 68, my body wasn't cooperating with my stubborn mind anymore. Just push through it, Frank. I'd tell myself, the way Dorothy used to when I complained about yard work back in Calgary. But Dorothy wasn't here anymore. Nobody was. A few days ago, I opened my inbox and saw a message from a longtime viewer. He said he'd been watching my stories quietly since last year, but this time, something pushed him to write. His note was short, but one line stuck with me. You didn't lose everything the day she left. You lost it slowly, every time you gave a little more, hoping she'd finally stop taking. Reading that felt like someone had written my own thoughts back to me. At first I felt this tightness in my throat, not from shame, but from finally being understood. Then this strange wave of clarity hit me. That's exactly how it happens. Not in one dramatic moment, but drip by drip, until you wake up one day and realize you have nothing left, not even yourself. If you're watching this and it feels a little too familiar, know this, you're not alone. And if you've ever been taken advantage of by love, by loneliness, by hope, this story is for you. Please take a second to like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one. And for those of you who've supported the channel through super thanks or heartfelt messages, I truly can't thank you enough. You keep this space alive. You remind me this isn't just a monologue, it's a conversation. All right, let me take you back to where it all started. I was fumbling with my shopping basket when I heard that soft voice behind me. "Fi, Frank, you okay?" Monica appeared beside me, her pharmacy uniform still crisp from her morning shift. She'd been checking on me more often lately, bringing soup when I had that cold, helping me understand the electric bill that came in Thai. I'd met her 3 months ago when she filled my blood pressure medication. Quiet girl from Surin province. Spoke careful English. Always called me uncle out of respect. "I'm managing," I said, though we both knew I wasn't. The basket felt like it weighed 50 pounds, and I still had to navigate the checkout line, then haul everything up 3 flights of stairs to my condo. "Let me help," she said, taking the basket from my hands without asking. Her fingers were small, gentle. For a moment, I felt like someone still cared whether I made it through the day. We walked to the checkout together. She paid with her own money, waving me off when I reached for my wallet. "You pay me back later," she said with that shy smile that made her look even younger than 30. Back at my apartment, she unpacked the groceries with the kind of efficiency that reminded me of Dorothy organizing our kitchen after a big shopping trip. "Fi, Frank," she said, washing my dishes without being asked. "This too hard for you every week? Your back, your leg, you suffer too much." I sat at my small dining table, watching her move around my kitchen like she belonged there. The loneliness I'd been carrying for 5 years felt lighter somehow. "I don't have much choice," I admitted. "Can't drive anymore, and those delivery apps, they're too confusing." She dried her hands on my dish towel and sat across from me. Her eyes were kind, concerned. "What if I help you? I come by after work, maybe on weekends. I can do shopping, cooking, cleaning, whatever you need." The offer hung in the air between us. Part of me wanted to say yes immediately. Another part, the cautious accountant who'd spent 40 years managing other people's money, wondered what she wanted in return. "I can't ask you to do that," I said. "You have your own life, your job at the pharmacy." "I want to help," she insisted. "You are a good man. You need someone to take care of you." She paused, then added quietly, "And maybe I need someone to take care of too." 2 weeks later, she was coming by 3 times a week. She'd arrive after her pharmacy shift with ingredients for simple meals: rice, vegetables, chicken. She'd cook while I watched Thai news programs I couldn't understand, then we'd eat together in comfortable silence. She never asked for money. When I tried to tip her, she'd shake her head. "I don't want money from you, Fi Frank, I just want to help." But as the weeks passed, the trips to the grocery store became more complicated for me. Standing in line, counting out bills with my arthritis-stiff fingers, trying to communicate with cashiers who spoke no English. One particularly bad day, I came home exhausted and frustrated. "This is too much for you," Monica said, unpacking the few items I'd managed to buy. You look tired. Your face, very stressed. I slumped into my chair. I hate being so dependent. Back home, I handled everything myself. Bills, shopping, maintenance. Now I can barely buy milk without feeling like an invalid. She was quiet for a long moment, organizing my refrigerator with practiced care. Then she turned to me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Maybe I can help more, she said. You give me your bank card. I do all shopping for you. Groceries, medicine, bills. You no need to go out when your back hurt. The suggestion caught me off guard. I'd never given anyone access to my bank account before. Even Dorothy had her own card, her own account. We kept our finances separate, a habit from my profession. I don't know, I said slowly. That's a lot of trust to put on you. She knelt beside my chair, taking my weathered hand in both of hers. 5 franc, you worry I take your money? I would never touch your money. I just want to make your life easier. You are like family to me now. Her voice was so sincere, her eyes so clear. In that moment, looking at this young woman who'd shown me nothing but kindness for months, I felt something I hadn't experienced since Dorothy died, the comfort of being cared for. Okay, I heard myself saying, but just for groceries and essentials, nothing else. She smiled then, the kind of smile that made my empty apartment feel less lonely. Of course, Uncle, just necessities. I take good care of your money. I take good care of you. I walked to the bedroom and retrieved my wallet from the nightstand. My bank card, the one connection to the modest pension and savings that kept me afloat in this foreign country. I stared at it for a moment, remembering all the times Dorothy had teased me about being too controlling with money. Trust her, I whispered to myself. She's earned it. When I handed Monica the card, her fingers closed around it gently, reverently. Thank you for trusting me, she said. I promise I make your life better. As she left that evening, card safely tucked in her purse, I felt a strange mix of relief and vulnerability. For the first time in months, I wouldn't have to face the grocery store, wouldn't have to struggle with my back and my pride in public. Someone was going to take care of the practical things. What could possibly go wrong? 3 days later, Monica knocked on my door carrying bags from 3 different stores. I find everything on your list, she announced, unpacking groceries with the enthusiasm of someone who'd discovered buried treasure. But I also find special things for you. She pulled out a package of the expensive European butter I'd mentioned missing from home, a jar of real Canadian maple syrup, and a small chocolate cake from the bakery downtown. For you, Uncle, because you are a special person. I stared at these small luxuries I hadn't enjoyed in months. Monica, this must have cost a fortune. I can't let you spend. Is not spending, she interrupted gently. Is caring. You tell me you miss taste of home, so I find taste of home. She cut a slice of cake and placed it in front of me. Happy cake, because today you should be happy. The cake was perfect, rich, sweet, exactly like the ones Dorothy used to buy for my birthday. As I ate, Monica bustled around my kitchen, putting away groceries and preparing tea. She moved like she'd lived there for years, intuitive about where things belonged. You don't have to do all this, I said, though part of me hoped she wouldn't stop. She sat across from me with her own cup of tea. 5 franc, can I tell you something? I nodded, cake making everything taste better than it had in months. When I was a little girl, my grandfather lived with us. Very old, like you. Every day after school, I help him. I bring his medicine. I read him newspaper. I make sure he eat good food. Her voice grew softer. When he die, I feel very empty, like I lose my purpose. She reached across and touched my hand briefly. When I help you, I feel good again, like I have purpose, like I am a useful person. Something shifted in my chest. This wasn't just kindness from a stranger. This was mutual need, her need to care, my need to be cared for. It felt like the foundation of something real. Your family must miss you, I said, coming here to help an old foreigner. Her expression darkened slightly. My family, they have problems. My father very sick, need medicine, need treatment. But they don't like I work in city, don't like I help Farang man. She looked down at her tea. They want me to marry Thai man, have children, be traditional daughter, but I want more than that. What do you want? I asked. Her face lit up. I want to have my own business. Small beauty shop maybe, help women feel beautiful, feel confident. I save money little by little but is very slow. She laughed, but it sounded forced. Maybe when I am 40, I have enough. I found myself leaning forward, invested in her dreams. That's a wonderful goal. You'd be good at that, you have such a gentle way with people. You think so? She asked, eyes bright with hope. Absolutely. In fact, I stopped myself before making an offer I might regret. What, uncle? I looked at this young woman who'd brought joy back into my monotonous days, who spoke to me like I mattered, who remembered that I missed the taste of home. Nothing. Just, I believe in you. Over the following weeks, our routine solidified. She'd arrive after work, cook dinner for both of us, clean up, then sit with me while we watched Thai soap operas she'd translate with dramatic flair. She'd tell me stories about difficult customers at the pharmacy, about her dreams of independence, about growing up poor in rural Thailand. I never want to be burden on anyone, she said one evening while folding my laundry. I want to earn everything myself, work hard, be independent woman. I watched her efficient movements, the way she treated my belongings with care. You're not a burden, Manika. I searched for the right word. You're a blessing. She stopped folding and looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. Gratitude, maybe, or something deeper. Fie Frank, she said quietly. You are first person in long time who make me feel valuable. Not just for my body, not just for what I can do, but for who I am inside. The comment about her body caught me off guard. Has someone hurt you? She returned to the laundry, movements more deliberate now. Thai men, some Farang men, they see young Thai woman and they think only one thing. They think I am bar girl, think I want money for other things. She glanced at me. But you never look at me like that. You see me like person. In that moment, I understood something crucial. She wasn't just helping me out of kindness. She was choosing me because I offered her something no one else had: respect without expectation, care without conditions. Of course I see you as a person, I said. You're intelligent, hardworking, kind. Any man would be lucky to earn your trust. She finished folding my shirts and sat beside me on the couch, closer than usual. I trust you, uncle, more than my own family sometimes. The weight of that trust settled over me like a warm blanket. For the first time since Dorothy died, I felt needed not just as a provider or a helper, but as a human being someone actually valued. I trust you too, I said, meaning it completely. That night, after she left, I sat in my quiet apartment feeling something I'd almost forgotten: contentment. The loneliness that had been my constant companion was fading, replaced by anticipation for tomorrow's visit, for the next shared meal, for the next story about her day. I was falling in love. Not romantic love, I was old enough to know the difference, but the love of genuine companionship, of being useful to someone who mattered, the love of feeling like I had family again. As I prepared for bed, I found myself humming an old song Dorothy used to play. For the first time in 5 years, the future felt bright. 2 months into our arrangement, I stopped checking my bank statements altogether. Monica had taken over all the practical aspects of my daily life, with such seamless efficiency that monitoring expenses felt unnecessary, even insulting to her dedication. Your blood pressure medicine ready for pickup, she'd announce, returning from errands with my prescription and a bag of groceries. I also buy you new shirts. The ones you have are getting too loose, you need to eat more. She was right. I'd lost weight since Dorothy died, partly from poor eating habits, partly from the stress of managing everything alone. But under Manika's care, I was filling out again, looking healthier. You don't need to buy me clothes, I protested weakly as she held up 2 crisp cotton shirts that looked expensive. Uncle, you are important man. You should look like important man. She examined the shirts critically. These will look very handsome on you. Make you feel confident. The next day, she returned with comfortable walking shoes. For your back, she explained. Good shoes, good support. I research on internet, these best for your condition. I tried them on. They fit perfectly, felt like walking on cushions. How much did these cost? Don't worry about money, she said, waving her hand dismissively. I manage your money good. I find sales. I compare prices. I make your money work hard for you. It became a pattern. She'd disappear for a few hours, return with necessities and small luxuries that improved my life in ways I hadn't even realized I needed. New pillows for better sleep, a ergonomic seat cushion for my dining chair, vitamin supplements she'd researched specifically for men my age. I take care of everything, she'd say whenever I questioned a purchase. You just relax and be happy. One afternoon, curiosity got the better of me. I opened my laptop and logged into my online banking for the first time in weeks. The balance was lower than expected, but not alarmingly so. I scrolled through recent transactions, grocery stores, pharmacies, clothing shops, restaurants. Nothing seemed outrageous for someone managing all my daily expenses. Still, some entries puzzled me. Multiple transactions at electronics stores, several purchases from beauty supply shops, a few large cash withdrawals I couldn't remember authorizing. When Monica arrived that evening, I mentioned it casually. I looked at my bank statement today, just curious about where we stand. Her expression didn't change, but something subtle shifted in her posture. Of course, Uncle. You want to know where your money is normal. There were a few things I didn't recognize. Electronics purchases, beauty supplies. Oh yes, she said, beginning to unpack groceries with slightly more urgency than usual. I buy phone charger for you, your old one broken, remember? And I buy some products for my skin. I hope is okay. I use card by mistake, then I feel embarrassed to ask you for money to pay back. I didn't remember my charger being broken, but I nodded anyway. It's fine, I just want to understand. Of course you want to understand. Is your money. She came to sit beside me, taking my hands in hers. Frank, I never want you to worry about money. I am very careful with every baht. I compare prices, I look for sales, I make sure everything is good value for you. Her sincerity was convincing. More than that, questioning her felt like betraying the trust that had become the foundation of our relationship. I'm not worried, I said, squeezing her hands. I just haven't been managing my own finances in so long. Makes me feel a bit disconnected. Maybe it's better you don't worry about money, she suggested gently. You are a retired man. You should enjoy your life, not stress about numbers and accounts. I can handle all boring money things. There was logic in that. I'd spent 40 years managing numbers, balancing books, worrying about financial details. Wasn't retirement supposed to free me from all that? You're right, I agreed. I trust you to handle it. Her smile returned, bright and relieved. Good. Now come eat dinner. I make your favorite chicken with basil. Over the following weeks, I made a conscious effort not to think about money. When she returned from shopping with bags from department stores, I didn't ask what she'd bought. When she handed me my PIN number to enter at restaurants, because she'd forgotten it, I complied without question. When she suggested I should give her permission to make larger purchases without checking with me first, I agreed. Sometimes I see good sale, but sale only lasts few hours, she explained. If I have to come ask you first, we miss the opportunity. It made sense. She was the one doing the legwork, seeing the deals, managing the logistics. Why should she have to run every decision past me like a child asking for allowance? Use your judgment, I told her. I trust you completely. The words felt good to say, felt like the kind of partnership I'd had with Dorothy, mutual trust, shared responsibility, no second-guessing every decision. But late at night, alone in my apartment, I sometimes wondered about those bank transactions I'd glimpsed, the electronics I couldn't remember needing, the beauty supplies that seemed expensive for basic skincare, the cash withdrawals that appeared on days when I was sure Monica had been working at the pharmacy. I'd push these thoughts away, ashamed of my suspicion. This was what trust looked like, not constantly monitoring and questioning, but having faith in someone's good intentions. Monica had earned that faith through months of dedicated care, of putting my needs before her own, of asking for nothing in return. Still, on quiet evenings when she was at home with her family, I'd catch myself reaching for my laptop, then stopping. Looking at those numbers would only create problems where none existed. It would turn our beautiful arrangement into something transactional and cold. Better to trust. Better to believe in the goodness I saw in her every day. Better to enjoy this second chance at companionship without poisoning it with the cynical accounting mindset that had defined too much of my working life. After all, what was money compared to feeling cared for? What was a bank balance compared to having someone who made sure I ate well, took my medication, and never spent another evening completely alone? The numbers in my account were just numbers. But the warmth in my apartment, the anticipation of shared meals, the comfort of knowing someone would check on me if I didn't answer my phone, that was priceless. I closed the laptop and didn't open it again for weeks. The conversation that changed everything happened on a humid Tuesday evening, while we shared coconut ice cream on my balcony. Monica had been quieter than usual during dinner, picking at her food with uncharacteristic distraction. "Something bothering you?" I asked, setting down my spoon. She looked out over the city lights, her profile thoughtful in the soft glow of street lamps below. "Vi Frank, I find something today. Something that make me very excited but also very scared." "What kind of something?" She turned to face me, eyes bright with possibility. "Small shop space. Perfect location, good rent, very clean. Owner say he give me good deal because he like me. But," she trailed off, shaking her head. "But what?" "But he need deposit this week. If I wait, he give to someone else." She bit her lip, the way she did when wrestling with difficult decisions. "Is exactly what I dream about, uncle. Perfect size for beauty salon. Already have mirror, have good lighting. But deposit is 40,000 baht, and I only have 15,000 saved." My heart jumped. This was her dream, the independence she'd talked about every week, the goal that made her eyes light up with hope. "That's wonderful that you found the right place." "Yes, is wonderful, but is also impossible." She laughed bitterly. "Story of my life. I find what I want, but I cannot have it." I watched her struggle with disappointment, remembering my own young dreams that had seemed just out of reach. The difference was, I'd had Dorothy to believe in me, to encourage risks that felt too big to take alone. "What if?" I started, then stopped myself. "What, uncle?" I looked at this young woman who'd brought such light into my final chapter, who'd earned my trust through months of selfless care. She'd asked me for nothing beyond the privilege of helping me. Now she was facing the kind of opportunity that could define her future. "What if I helped with the deposit?" She went very still. "I cannot ask you to do that." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Is too much money. I could never pay you back." "Maybe you don't need to pay me back," I said, surprising myself with the words. "Maybe it could be a gift, an investment in your future." Her eyes filled with tears. "You would do that? For me?" In that moment, looking at her grateful, hopeful face, I felt more useful and needed than I had in years. This was what money was for, not just maintaining existence but making dreams possible. "You've been taking care of me for months," I said. "Let me take care of you for once." She covered her face with her hands, shoulders shaking slightly. When she looked up, tears were streaming down her cheeks. "I don't know what to say. Nobody ever believed in me like this. You can use my card tomorrow. Get the deposit sorted out." She stood abruptly, walked to the balcony railing, gripping it with white knuckles. "Vi Frank, this is too much. I am just village girl from Surin. Maybe I fail. Maybe I waste your money. Maybe you'll succeed beyond your wildest dreams," I countered. "Maybe in 5 years you'll own 3 shops and employ a dozen people." She turned back to me with a smile that could have powered the entire city. "You really believe that?" "I really do." The next morning, she left early to meet with the shop owner. I spent the day imagining her excitement as she handed over the deposit, signed the lease, began planning her business. When she returned that afternoon, she was carrying flowers and a bottle of champagne. "We celebrate," she announced, arranging the flowers in my good vase. "Today is first day of my new life." She told me about the shop, the perfect lighting near the window, the spacious storage area, the friendly neighboring businesses. "Owner is so happy. He say I will bring good energy to the building." We toasted with champagne, and I felt a pride I hadn't experienced since watching my own children graduate college decades ago. This was what it meant to matter in someone's life, to be the person who made impossible dreams possible. "How much was the total?" I asked, curious about the exact amount. 60,000 baht, she said, refilling our glasses. Little more than I thought, but worth every satang. 60,000. I'd expected 40. But seeing her happiness, the way she moved with new confidence, the way she spoke about her plans with infectious enthusiasm, the extra 20,000 seemed insignificant. Over the following days, she divided her time between the pharmacy and preparing her new shop. She'd return each evening with updates, finding suppliers, negotiating prices for equipment, designing the layout. The transformation in her was remarkable. The shy, deferential girl had been replaced by a focused entrepreneur with clear vision and boundless energy. "I need few more things," she mentioned casually one evening while cooking dinner. professional hair dryer, good chairs, proper lighting, maybe another 15,000 baht worth of equipment. Of course, I agreed without hesitation. Whatever you need. She hugged me tight, whispering thank you against my shoulder. In her embrace, I felt like I was contributing to something meaningful, something that would outlast my own life. But as she pulled away, I caught a glimpse of something in her expression that I couldn't quite identify. Satisfaction, maybe. Or relief. It passed so quickly I convinced myself I'd imagined it. I am so lucky to have you in my life, she said, returning to the stove. So lucky to have someone who believes in my dreams. That night, I lay in bed feeling more fulfilled than I had since retiring. This was what I'd been missing, purpose beyond my own comfort. I wasn't just surviving my final years. I was investing in someone's future, being the mentor and supporter I'd always wanted to be. The money would come and go. But the knowledge that I'd helped Monica achieve independence, that I'd been instrumental in her success, that would last forever. At least, that's what I told myself as I drifted off to sleep, never imagining that within weeks, I'd be sitting in a bank manager's office trying to understand how someone I trusted completely had managed to take everything. The headache started during my morning coffee, a dull throb behind my right eye that reminded me I'd skipped my blood pressure medication for 2 days. Monica had been busy with her shop preparations, and I didn't want to bother her about something I could handle myself. The walk to the pharmacy took longer than expected. My arthritis was flaring up in the humid weather, and by the time I reached the familiar storefront where Monica worked, I was breathing heavily and feeling dizzy. Kun Frank, the elderly cashier I recognized from previous visits, smiled and waved me over. Her English was limited but friendly. "You come for medicine?" I nodded, handing her the prescription bottle. "Blood pressure pills." As she prepared my refill, she chatted in the broken English she always attempted with foreign customers. "Your wife? She come here last night. Very late, almost closing time." I looked up from counting out bills. "My wife? Yes, your lady. Sweet girl, very polite." She gestured to indicate Monica's height and made hand motions suggesting long hair. "She buy many things. Very expensive medicine, special cream, vitamin supplements." The words didn't process immediately. "What kind of medicine?" The cashier pulled out a thick receipt book and flipped through recent pages. "Here, look. She buy. How you say? Pain medicine, sleeping pills, skin treatment, protein powder." She showed me a receipt with numbers that made my stomach drop. 8,000 baht total, she say, is for you and her. I stared at the receipt, mind struggling to make sense of what I was seeing. Monica had been at the pharmacy last night, spending 8,000 baht on medicine and supplements I'd never heard of, telling the staff she was my wife. "When did she say this was for?" I asked, though my voice sounded far away. "She say you both very sick, need special treatment. She worry very much about your health." The cashier's expression grew concerned. "You feeling okay? You look a little bit pale." I nodded, mechanically, paid for my blood pressure medication, and walked home in a daze. The receipt felt heavy in my pocket, heavier than a piece of paper had any right to feel. Back at my apartment, I sat at my kitchen table staring at the receipt. Pain medicine I'd never requested, sleeping pills I didn't need, skin treatments that cost more than my monthly utilities, all purchased by someone who'd told the pharmacy staff she was my wife. For the first time in months, I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. What I found there made me forget all about my headache. Daily transactions I didn't recognize. Multiple withdrawals at ATMs across the city. Purchase after purchase at stores I'd never been to. Department stores, electronic shops, jewelry stores, restaurants I'd never heard of. The amounts had started small, 50 baht here, 100 there, but they'd grown steadily larger and more frequent. My hands shook as I scrolled through 3 months of statements. 200,000 baht, 300,000, 400,000. Numbers that didn't make sense. Purchases that couldn't possibly be for my benefit. Western Union transfers to names I didn't recognize. Online payments to companies with Thai names I couldn't pronounce. Cash advances that appeared on days when I distinctly remembered being alone in my apartment. The total, when I finally forced myself to calculate it, was staggering. Over 600,000 baht in 3 months. My modest pension and savings account had been hemorrhaging money while I sat in blissful ignorance, trusting completely in someone who was systematically draining my future. I closed the laptop and sat in silence for what felt like hours. The apartment that had become warm and welcoming under Monika's care now felt foreign, tainted. Every improvement she'd made, the new pillows, the comfortable shoes, the ergonomic cushions, took on a different meaning. They weren't gifts from someone who cared about me. They were purchases I'd unknowingly made myself, bought with my own money by someone who understood exactly how to make me grateful for my own generosity. The worst part wasn't the money, though. The worst part was the slow, sickening realization that nothing had been real. The shy smiles, the gentle concern, the stories about her dreams, all of it carefully calculated to create trust. The beauty shop wasn't an opportunity she'd stumbled upon. It was a story designed to access a larger sum, to make me feel noble and generous while she transferred my life savings into her own future. When she knocked on my door that evening, I almost didn't answer. But confrontation was inevitable, and putting it off would only make it harder. "Uncle, you look terrible," she said, setting down her usual shopping bags. "Are you feeling sick?" I watched her unpack groceries with the same efficient care she'd shown for months. The performance was flawless concern, attention to detail, the appearance of someone who genuinely cared about my well-being. "I went to the pharmacy today," I said quietly. Her hands paused for just a moment before continuing to organize my refrigerator. "Good. You need your medicine. The cashier said you were there last night. Said you bought 8,000 baht worth of medicine and supplements." Now her movement stopped completely. She turned to face me, and for the first time since I'd known her, I saw something calculating in her expression. "I wanted to surprise you," she said after a moment. "I worry about your health, so I buy special vitamins, good medicine. I want to keep you healthy." She said you told her you were my wife. Silence stretched between us. In that silence, I heard the death of every comfortable evening we'd shared, every moment of warmth and connection I'd treasured. "Is easier that way," she said finally. "If they think I am family, they give me better price, better service." I pulled out my laptop and opened the banking website. "I looked at my account today, Monika. All of it." She went very still, the mask of gentle concern finally slipping completely away. What remained was someone I'd never met, cold, evaluating, already calculating her next move. "I can explain everything," she said, but her voice had changed. The soft, apologetic tone was gone, replaced by something harder. I turned the laptop screen toward her, showing 3 months of transactions. "Explain this." She looked at the numbers without flinching. "I use your card for many things. Shop supplies, equipment, deposit, everything I tell you about. Jewelry stores, electronics, restaurants, 5-star hotels." I scrolled through the entries, reading them aloud. Western Union transfers, cash advances. Her composure cracked slightly. "Sometimes I need cash for suppliers. Sometimes I buy things for my family." "Your family, you said, didn't support your dreams?" She crossed her arms, defensive now. "You don't understand Thai family. We take care of each other. When I have money, I share." I stared at this stranger wearing Monika's face. "You took over 600,000 baht from me, my entire savings." "I don't steal from you," she said, voice rising. "I use your money for good things. I help you, I help my family, I build business. You have plenty money, you are rich, Farang." The casual dismissal hit harder than anger would have. I wasn't a person whose trust had been betrayed. I was just a rich foreigner whose money she'd accessed. "Get out," I said quietly. "Uncle, please. You are upset, but we can fix this. I can pay you back when my business start making money. Get out of my apartment." She studied my face for a long moment, perhaps looking for some crack in my resolve, some opening to continue the manipulation. Finding none, she gathered her purse and shopping bags with efficient movements. "I never lie about caring for you," she said at the door. That part was real. But as she left, I caught her reflection in the hallway mirror, and what I saw there wasn't sadness or regret. It was the satisfied expression of someone who'd completed a successful job. I locked the door behind her and slumped against it, feeling older than my 68 years. The apartment felt impossibly quiet, emptier than it had even in the depths of my grief for Dorothy. But this emptiness was different. It wasn't the natural sadness of loss. It was the hollow ache of having been deliberately and systematically deceived by someone I'd grown to love. She didn't come back the next day, or the day after that. For 72 hours, I sat in my apartment waiting for an apology that never arrived, an explanation that might make sense of what had happened, some acknowledgement that our relationship had meant something beyond my bank account balance. On the 4th day, she knocked. I opened the door to find Monica holding a manila folder and wearing an expression I'd never seen before, not the gentle concern or shy gratitude I'd grown accustomed to, but something harder, more businesslike. "We need to talk," she said, walking past me into the apartment without invitation. "I think we said everything we needed to say." She placed the folder on my dining table and opened it, revealing what appeared to be receipts, business documents, and handwritten notes in Thai. "You want to know where your money go? I show you exactly where your money go." I approached the table cautiously, looking down at documents I couldn't read. "What is this? Proof that I use your money for good things?" she said, pointing to various receipts. "Shop rent, equipment, supplies for business, medicine for my father, school fees for my little sister. Everything I tell you about." I picked up one of the receipts, squinting at Thai text I couldn't decipher. This could say anything. "I can't read Thai." "Exactly," she said, and something in her tone made me look up sharply. "You live in Thailand 5 years, but you never learn language. You depend on other people to translate, to explain, to help you understand, how you know what anything really cost, how you know what fair price." The accusation stung because it was partially true. I'd been lazy about learning Thai, content to rely on English-speaking services and helpful locals like Monica herself. "That doesn't give you the right to steal from me." Her eyes flashed. "I don't steal. I use your money like you tell me to use. You say, buy whatever you need. You say, use your judgment. You say, I trust you completely. For groceries and medicine. For basic needs." "Basic needs?" She laughed bitterly. "You think I am servant? You think I work for you for free, cook for you, clean for you, take care of old sick man for free, because I am stupid village girl?" The words hit like physical blows. "I never treated you like a servant. I thought we were. I thought you cared about me. I do care about you." But her voice carried no warmth, no trace of the gentle affection I remembered. "But I also care about my family. I care about my future. I care about not being poor forever." She sat across from me, the manila folder between us like evidence in a trial. "You want to know truth? I tell you truth. Yes, I spend your money on things you don't know about. Yes, I help my family. Yes, I build my business. But I also take care of you better than any Thai woman would take care of Farang husband. We weren't married. I didn't owe you anything. You owe me everything." The mask slipped completely now, revealing anger I'd never suspected existed. "You think you are charity case? You think I help you because you are a special person?" She gestured around my modest apartment. "You are lonely old man with money. That is all. I give you company. I make you feel important. I make you feel loved. That worth something." I stared at her, seeing clearly for the first time. "So, this was a job. Taking care of me was a job. Everything is job. Love is job. Marriage is job. Family is job." She leaned forward, voice intense. "Difference is, I do my job very good. I make you happy. I make you feel young again. I give you reason to wake up in morning. By lying to me every day, by giving you what you need. You need someone to care about your health, your food, your comfort. I give you that. You need someone to make you feel important, make you feel generous, make you feel like good man. I give you that too." The clinical assessment of my needs, delivered without emotion or apology, was more devastating than anger would have been. She'd studied me like a business problem and provided exactly the services required to access my resources. "Get out," I said again. "Not yet." She reached into her purse and pulled out my bank card. "You want this back?" I reached for it, but she pulled it away. "First you listen to me. Give me my card. I keep this card for 3 months. In 3 months, you live better than you live in 5 years in Thailand. You eat good food. You sleep in comfortable bed. You have someone who makes sure you take medicine, who take care of you when you're sick. Your life improved very much. With my own money? Yes, with your money. But also with my time, my care, my attention. You think that free?" I felt something breaking inside me, some fundamental belief about human nature and genuine connection. "I thought you liked me." For just a moment her expression softened. "I do like you, uncle. You are kind man. You treat me with respect. That why I choose you instead of other Farang." "Choose me for what?" "To take care of, to help, to make comfortable life for both of us." She placed the bank card on the table between us. "But you ruin everything by checking account, by being suspicious, by treating me like criminal. You are a criminal. You stole from me. I invest in us, she corrected. In our future together. You think I want to take your money and disappear? You think I am stupid? Better to have steady income from men who trust me, who appreciate me, who need me. The revelation that this had been her long-term plan, not a quick theft, but a sustainable arrangement, somehow made it worse. She'd been building a life around systematically extracting my resources while providing just enough care to maintain my gratitude. But you cannot appreciate what you have, she continued. You want to control everything, check every receipt, question every purchase. That not how partnership work. Partnership? I couldn't keep the incredulity out of my voice. What you think this was? I live here half-time. I cook for you. I clean for you. I take care of all your needs. I am like wife, but you never ask me to be wife. You just want to keep me as helper, who you can throw away any time. I stared at her, trying to understand how someone could so completely rewrite history. I never led you to believe we had that kind of relationship. You never say many things. You never say you love me, but you act like you love me. You never say I am family, but you treat me like family. You never say you want to take care of me forever, but you help me with business like husband help wife. She stood and walked to my kitchen, opening cabinets and the refrigerator with familiar ease. Look at this apartment. Look how much better it is with me here. Good food, clean dishes, everything organized. Look how much better you look, healthy, happy, not so lonely. I had to admit she was right about that. The past 3 months had been the happiest I'd been since Dorothy died. Now look at yourself today, she continued, returning to the table. Sad, angry, suspicious, checking bank account like worried old miser. Is this how you want to spend rest of your life? The question hung in the air between us. Part of me, the part that had been desperately lonely for 5 years, wanted to find a way to make this work, to accept her terms, overlook the deception, return to the comfortable routine we'd established. But a larger part, the part that had spent 40 years learning to recognize financial manipulation, knew that trust once broken could never be fully restored. I want my card back, I said quietly. I want you to leave. I don't want to see you again. She studied my face for a long moment, perhaps looking for some sign of wavering. Finding none, she picked up the bank card and held it up. You sure about this? Because once I leave, I don't come back. You go back to being a lonely old man with no one to take care of you. No one to cook for you, clean for you, worry about your health. You sure that better than having someone who maybe use little bit of your money but give you real companionship? In her voice, I heard an echo of every sales pitch I'd ever encountered, the false urgency, the manufactured scarcity, the suggestion that this was my last chance at happiness. I'm sure. She placed the card on the table with a sharp click. Okay, but don't call me when you realize you make mistake. Don't come to pharmacy asking for me when you lonely and sick and have no one. She gathered her documents, closing the manila folder with finality. At the door, she turned back one last time. You know what your problem is, uncle? You think money more important than people. You think being right more important than being happy. That why you end up alone. After she left, I sat holding my bank card and staring at the empty apartment that suddenly felt cavernous. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the hum of the air conditioning and distant traffic. She was right about one thing: I would be alone again. But as I looked around at the improvements she'd made with my money, at the comfortable pillows and ergonomic cushions and expensive groceries that had briefly made this place feel like home, I realized something important. I'd rather be alone with my dignity than comfortable with a lie. But knowing that didn't make the silence any easier to bear. The bank manager looked at me with the weary expression of someone who'd had this conversation many times before. Ms. Siraporn, according to her nameplate, spoke excellent English and maintained professional courtesy even as she delivered news that felt like a death sentence. The total amount withdrawn or transferred is 847,000 baht over 4 months, she said, sliding a comprehensive statement across her desk. Unfortunately, since the cardholder had your PIN and your verbal authorization for financial access, our fraud protection policies don't apply. I stared at the numbers. Each transaction a small betrayal I'd unknowingly authorized. The amounts had grown gradually: 20,000 baht in month 1, 60,000 in month 2, then escalating rapidly as Monika's confidence grew. What about the Western Union transfers? I asked. Surely those require additional verification. The transfers were initiated with your card and PIN at authorized locations. The recipients. She consulted her computer screen. 3 different individuals in Surin province. All legitimate transactions from a technical standpoint. Surin province, Manika's home. The family she'd claimed didn't support her dreams had apparently been benefiting from my savings for months. Is there any legal recourse? Any way to recover the funds? Ms. Siraporn's expression grew more sympathetic. You could file a police report, but recovery is unlikely. The recipient would need to admit wrongdoing or be proven to have used false pretenses, which is difficult to establish when there was apparent consent for financial access. I left the bank feeling like I'd aged a decade in 30 minutes. 847,000 baht, nearly my entire life savings, accumulated over decades of careful planning and modest living, gone. My next stop was the police station, though Ms. Siraporn's words echoed in my mind. The officer who took my report was polite but not encouraging. Sir, this is very common situation, he explained in careful English. Thai woman, foreign man, money problem. But if you give her your card, your PIN, your permission to spend. Very difficult to prove crime. She lied to me about what the money was for. He nodded sympathetically. Maybe she lie, yes. But lie is not always crime in legal meaning. If she say money for shop and she really open shop, then money go where she say it go. She opened a shop with my money? We check address you give us. Small beauty salon, registered in her name, official business license, pay taxes. From legal point, she used your money to start legitimate business. The irony was stunning. Manika had actually done exactly what she'd claimed, used my money to open her dream business. The deception wasn't in the goal, but in the scale and scope of what she'd taken to achieve it. What about the money sent to her family? The officer shrugged. Thai culture, we take care of family. If foreign man give Thai woman money, normal that some money help family. Again, not crime. I walked home through streets that had once felt welcoming but now seemed filled with predators sizing up their next mark. Every interaction I'd had over the past 4 months took on new meaning. The friendly pharmacist who'd facilitated Monika's purchases. The shopkeepers who'd accepted my card without question when presented by a young Thai woman claiming to be my wife. The restaurant staff who'd smiled knowingly when she'd paid for expensive dinners with my money. Had they all known what was happening? Had my situation been obvious to everyone except me? Back at my apartment, I forced myself to take inventory. The improvements Manika had made with my money were everywhere. New furniture, expensive appliances, comfortable bedding, a refrigerator full of food I'd never chosen myself. Living in the space she'd created with my resources felt like being haunted by my own gullibility. I called my landlord to discuss reducing my lease to something I could afford on my diminished resources. That's when I learned about Manika's final betrayal. Oh yes, Kun Frank. Your girlfriend asked about lease many times, he said cheerfully. She want to know if she can put lease in her name, maybe become main tenant. She say you getting old, maybe you want her to take responsibility for apartment. The words hit like a physical blow. She hadn't just been stealing my money, she'd been positioning herself to take over my living situation entirely. The long-term plan hadn't been to bleed me dry and disappear. It had been to gradually assume control of every aspect of my life until I was dependent on her for everything. Did you agree to any changes? I asked, already knowing the answer would be complicated. We discussed many times but never signed paper. She say she want to surprise you, make you happy by taking care of lease, so you don't worry about rent. Another kindness that was actually a power grab. Another way to make me grateful while she maneuvered herself into an unassailable position. That evening, I sat in my expensive chair, eating food I couldn't afford anymore, surrounded by possessions bought with money I no longer had. The comfort Manika had created felt like a museum exhibit, a display of wealth that no longer belonged to me. But the material losses, devastating as they were, paled beside the emotional damage. She'd taken more than money. She'd stolen my ability to trust my own judgment, my faith in human connection, my belief that genuine affection could exist without hidden agendas. Every smile I remembered now felt calculated. Every gentle touch carried the weight of manipulation. Every story about her dreams and struggles became part of an elaborate performance designed to access my resources. The woman I'd thought I was falling in love with, the shy, hard-working, family-oriented person who'd brought warmth back into my life, had never existed. She'd been a carefully constructed character, designed specifically to appeal to a lonely widower with modest wealth and deep-seated need for companionship. I'd been so eager for connection, so grateful for attention, so desperate to feel useful and needed that I'd ignored every warning sign. The gradual expansion of spending, the reluctance to show receipts, the way she'd deflected questions about specifics, the stories that didn't quite add up, the emotional manipulation whenever I'd expressed concerns. She'd read me like a balance sheet, identifying exactly what I needed to hear and feel, then providing just enough of those needs to maintain access to my accounts. The cruelest part was that she'd been good at it. The care she'd shown, the attention to my health and comfort, the way she'd made my apartment feel like home, all of it had been real in its effects, even if hollow in its motivations. I'd been happier those 4 months than I'd been in 5 years. The loneliness that had been my constant companion had lifted. I'd felt useful, generous, loved. The fact that those feelings had been purchased rather than earned didn't make them any less genuine in the moment. But now, sitting alone in an apartment I could no longer afford, eating food I couldn't replace, surrounded by comfort I couldn't maintain, I understood the true cost of that happiness. It wasn't just 847,000 baht. It was the knowledge that I'd been so easy to deceive, so hungry for affection, so willing to believe the best in someone that I'd handed over my security without question. It was the realization that at 68 years old, I was starting over again, not just financially, but emotionally. Learning to trust again. Learning to be alone again. Learning to distinguish between genuine care and skilled performance. As night fell over Chiang Mai, I began making lists. Things to sell, expenses to cut, ways to stretch what remained of my resources. Practical steps to rebuild some semblance of financial stability. But no list could address the deeper problem, the hollow ache where trust used to live, the certainty that I'd never again feel safe opening my heart or my wallet to another human being. Manika had taken my money, but she'd stolen something more valuable than that. She'd stolen my faith in love itself. 6 months have passed since I last saw Manika. 6 months of learning to live on a budget that would have been unthinkable before she systematically depleted my savings. 6 months of cooking simple meals, walking to the local market with my back pain, and sleeping on the basic mattress I bought after selling the expensive bedding she'd chosen. The financial recovery has been slower than I'd hoped, but steadier than I'd feared. I moved to a smaller apartment in a less fashionable part of Chiang Mai, traded my comfortable condo for a 1-bedroom place with no elevator and questionable plumbing. I learned to shop for groceries like a local, comparing prices and seeking out the smallest bills I could find. The Western luxuries Manika had introduced, expensive coffee, imported cheese, restaurant meals, became distant memories. But the emotional recovery has been more complex. For the first few weeks after she left, I expected her to return. Not because I wanted her to, but because the relationship had felt so real to me that I couldn't believe it had been entirely fabricated. Surely someone who'd spent that much time caring for me, cooking for me, listening to my stories about Dorothy and life in Canada, couldn't have been completely indifferent to my well-being. I was wrong. I learned from my former landlord that she'd moved to Bangkok shortly after our confrontation. The beauty salon she'd opened with my money was transferred to her sister's management, while she pursued bigger opportunities in the capital. My investment in her dreams had paid off exactly as she'd planned, just not for me. I also learned, through conversations with other expats who'd heard my story, that my experience wasn't unique. The details varied. Sometimes it was a medical emergency requiring immediate funds, sometimes it was a family crisis, sometimes it was a business opportunity that couldn't wait. But the pattern was always the same. Gradual building of trust, emotional manipulation, incremental expansion of financial access, and eventual disappearance once the well ran dry. You're lucky she didn't clean out everything at once, one man told me at a coffee shop where expatriates gathered to share war stories. Mine took it all in one night and disappeared with her boyfriend. Lucky. The word felt strange applied to my situation. I'd lost most of my life savings to someone who'd pretended to love me, spent months believing in a relationship that existed only in my imagination, and faced a future with dramatically reduced financial security. But I suppose, compared to complete devastation, I had been fortunate. The hardest part wasn't the money, though that certainly complicated everything. The hardest part was learning to trust my own judgment again. For months after Manika left, I questioned every interaction with every local person. The woman who cleaned my building, was she being genuinely friendly or sizing me up as a potential target? The pharmacist who helped me with prescriptions, was he providing honest service or calculating how much he could overcharge a confused foreigner? The elderly man who sometimes joined me for coffee and practiced his English, was he enjoying conversation or gathering information for future use? Paranoia became my constant companion, and I hated what it did to me. I'd come to Thailand seeking connection and peace in my final chapter. Instead, I'd become a suspicious, isolated man who viewed every kindness as a potential scam. But gradually, very gradually, I began to distinguish between reasonable caution and destructive mistrust. I learned to appreciate help without surrendering control. When my new neighbor offered to show me where to buy the cheapest vegetables, I accepted gratefully and paid for my own groceries. When the pharmacist recommended a cheaper generic version of my blood pressure medication, I researched it online before agreeing and thanked him for saving me money. I discovered that there were indeed people who offered genuine kindness without hidden agendas. The key was recognizing the difference between assistance and assumption of responsibility, between friendship and financial access. Most importantly, I learned to value solitude over the wrong kind of company. The loneliness that had made me so vulnerable to Monika's manipulation was still there, but it no longer felt like an emergency requiring immediate remedy. Being alone with my dignity felt better than being comfortable with a lie. I developed new routines that didn't require anyone else's involvement. Morning walks through the old city, where I practiced basic Thai phrases with patient vendors. Afternoons reading at the public library, where I'd finally begun learning to read basic Thai script. Evenings cooking simple meals while listening to podcasts from home. It wasn't the rich, companionate life I'd dreamed of when I moved to Thailand, but it was honest. No one was performing care to access my resources. No one was calculating the minimum amount of affection required to maintain my gratitude. The warmth I felt came from genuine moments, a successful conversation in broken Thai, a perfectly cooked meal, a sunset viewed from my basic balcony. I still think about Monika sometimes. Not with longing, but with a kind of clinical curiosity. Did she ever feel genuine affection for me, or was every smile and gentle touch pure performance? Did she struggle with guilt about deceiving someone who trusted her completely, or was my well-being irrelevant to her larger goals? Did she view our relationship as a job well done, or a missed opportunity for deeper exploitation? I'll never know, and I've made peace with that uncertainty. What I do know is that, at 68, I survived a devastating betrayal and rebuilt a life worth living. Not the life I'd planned, and certainly not the comfortable retirement I'd once envisioned, but a life built on truth rather than illusion. I've learned to cook Thai food that tastes almost as good as what Monika used to make. I've learned to navigate the bureaucracy of banks and landlords and utility companies without depending on translators who might have their own agendas. I've learned to enjoy my own company without constantly seeking validation from others. Most importantly, I've learned that being deceived doesn't make me a fool, it makes me human. Trusting someone who proved unworthy of that trust wasn't a failure of judgment. It was the natural result of being a person who values connection and believes in the possibility of genuine affection. Monika didn't just take my money. She taught me that the capacity to love and trust, even when it leads to pain, is what makes life worth living. The fact that she couldn't reciprocate those feelings says everything about her limitations and nothing about their value. Yesterday, I destroyed the last reminder of our relationship, the bank card I'd finally canceled after months of keeping it as evidence I might need someday. I fed it through my small document shredder, watching the plastic fragments fall into the wastebasket like confetti at a funeral. As the last piece disappeared, I felt something lift from my shoulders. Not forgiveness exactly, and certainly not forgetfulness, but a kind of release from the weight of resentment I'd been carrying. I gave her my trust, and she took my peace of mind. But peace, I've learned, can be rebuilt from within. Trust, carefully dispensed and honestly earned, can bloom again. The card is gone, the money is gone, the illusion of love is gone, but I remain. Wiser, more careful, less romantically optimistic about human nature, but still capable of finding joy in simple pleasures, still interested in tomorrow's possibilities, still grateful for the genuine connections that make life meaningful. At 68, that feels like victory enough. I trusted her with my bank card, and she gave me a nightmare. But nightmares end when you wake up and realize you're stronger than whatever haunted your dreams. I'm awake now, and despite everything, I'm still here.